Each candidate will get a minute to respond to the questions, and they will have closing speeches at the end of 2 minutes, and then we'll close the event at approximately 8 o'clock. So again, I'd like to thank you all for attending. Please do enjoy yourselves today. Thank you. So in terms of the running order, we'll be running in alphabetical order based on the first names, and then I'll try to mix them up throughout the proceedings of the night, inshallah. So if I can begin, is Khalid online? Yeah. So if we can begin, so we're going to start with the opening speeches, and if Khalid Mahmood from the Green Party, if you want to start with the opening speech, when you start, I will start the stopwatch, and then I'll let you know when there's 15 seconds remaining of your time. And so Khalid, over to you.
Very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Can I begin by thanking yourself as the chair organizing this hosting, and it's really great to see Bradford West live again. And my name is Khalid Mahmood. I am a Green Party candidate for Bradford West, and just wanted to share that I have been a candidate for Green Party. The representation has took place.
Sorry, Khalid.
Basically,
Khalid, I didn't stop you there. It's a time.
It's known as a ghost town. So therefore, we
Khalid, that's your time. Right. We just put a comment there, Mohammed. Just let him know it's time. Yeah. It's not the easiest to get over teams, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But thank you very much, Khalid. That was Khalid Mahmood from the Green Party. Our next candidate will be Muhammad Ali Islam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Councillor Muhammad Ali Islam, and I'm standing here before you as an independent candidate for Bradford West. Bradford West is a community rich in its culture, rich in its history, rich in its diversity. However, it is also a community that has faced its fair share of challenges. Economic hardships, underfunded public services, and a political system that often overlooks the voices of the constituents. My vision for Bradford West is one where everyone has access to quality healthcare and education. Our NHS is stretched thin, yes we know, and our schools need more support to ensure that our children receive the education that they deserve. I will hold people to account. I will advocate for increased funding to ensure we can meet the demands of our growing population. Economic regeneration is another key issue. Bradford West has tremendous potential that we cannot deny. But we need to create more opportunities for our local businesses to thrive. I will work tirelessly to attract investment, tirelessly to support small businesses and create job opportunities that benefit our local economy. Community safety is a concern for many. I believe in a proactive approach to tackling crime and antisocial behaviour, focusing on community policing and preventative measures. As an independent, I am not bound. I am not told what to do. I am not told what to say. I can speak up openly I can challenge the status quo, and that is what we lack. Strong leadership that challenges the status quo. Strong independence that can say it how it is. With myself, that is what you get. I am committed to fostering a sense of unity and pride in our community. That pride that we no longer have, unfortunately. We need a representative who is approachable. We need a representative who is invested in the well-being of every resident. Now today you're going to hear from every candidate. You're going to hear from their viewpoints of what they believe will be best. But remember, we have had 9 years of Labour representation, and after 9 years we have seen incompetence, we have seen inadequateness, and we have seen failures. So it's up to you to make your choice.
Thank you very much, Muhammad Ali. Our next candidate is Nav Shah.
Good evening. Lovely to be here. Thank you to Bradford College and Bradford University for hosting us. I'm here defending my record of 9 years, and it's really interesting that Islam should finish on the fact that you've had 9 years of representation from Labour. Labour haven't been in government for 9 years. Labour haven't been in government, but they will be in government come the 5th of July. So the choice today is whether you're going to have representation which is at the heart of government or the opposition as a backbencher. In the last 9 years, I brought 32 million into Bradford just for the colleges and higher education. I brought 20 million in for regeneration from the Levelling Up Fund. But we have a lot more to do, and here is our opportunity. And I have led law changes, even from the opposition benches. What I don't want is that 9 years of work to be undone. When it comes to the NHS, we're looking at 40,000 more appointments every week. We know that more than 3,000 people that have been on a waiting list at Bradford Teaching Hospital Trust, which is in my constituency, and we know we need those appointments to get that backlog cleared. The waiting list used to be 18 weeks at max. More than 300 people are waiting more than a year. Those are the realities of Tory austerity. The biggest thing for this election is the economy, economic stability. Either more chaos with the Tories, or you get stability with Labour. Tories have said 71 billion in unfunded, uncosted funding, which could raise, and this is according to other organisations, which could raise the interest rate to 2.5%. That could add more than 4,000 to people's mortgages. Those are the choices facing us in this election. We know we have the opportunity now. When it comes to Bradford West, there is no shortage, there's no poverty of aspiration. And you've had 14 years of Tories, 50% cuts in the council budget. That's where your youth service has gone, not the responsibility of the Labour government. But in Labour government, with the Labour government, we will be making those choices. Whether we want them 40,000, those 40,000, more than millions every year to bring down the backlog, whether we want 6,500 more teachers, whether we want 13,000 more police on the doors, on our streets, whether we want teenage show start hubs, which we've got a track record of delivering when we delivered teenage show starts for young people in the past, and we know the difference that makes for life expectations. I have played my part to secure a train station in Bradford. That will unlock over 30 billion worth of investment for Bradford City alone, and it will create more than 1.7 million jobs within 90 minutes of Bradford, and it will create thousands here in Bradford. We need economic stability. Our people across the community have suffered enough from poverty, fastest growing rate, child rate poverty in the whole of Yorkshire and Humber. What we need is to address economic stability. We need to create jobs. We need that infrastructure. That's what we need to Bradford West. You've got a choice with a side voice or a voice in government.
Thank you, Naz. And the final candidate on the panel is Nigel David Moxon. Nigel, over to you.
Hello? Oh, yes, you can hear me. Good. Thank you very much. Firstly, a massive thank you to Aleem and all the staff here at the University for putting this on, particularly when England's playing against Denmark. So thank you everyone for turning out as well tonight. And it's great to see such a big turnout, quite frankly, because people are interested in politics and they're interested in their futures. So firstly, whatever colour rosette you want to wear, thank you very much for coming. I genuinely mean that. So I'm not going to be here as any sort of apologist for what the Conservative government's done over the last 14 years. This is about looking to the future. So basically, at this election, you are going to have two choices up and down the country, and that is Labour or the Conservatives. Now, some people might say, we don't want more of the same, we want some change. Well, you need to be clear on what that change is. So that change potentially means that every person is going to have £2,000 extra on their taxes a year. That change is going to mean that, and Keir Starmer couldn't answer this one, your council tax is going to go up. People's council taxes are going to go up because they promised to not put up VAT, not put up income tax, but he could not promise other taxes. So, you know, just beware. And we've seen some of the schemes that are coming up, like the energy scheme. Great idea on paper, but I'll address the elephant in the room. I'm not from Bradford, so sorry. I'm from Mansfield, a small ex-mining town in North Nottinghamshire. And we're well aware in Nottinghamshire of what Labour brings to the party. In Nottingham, Labour tried this energy scheme, and it was called Robin Hood Energy. Okay? Everyone's laughing because they've heard about it. And it cost millions, 50-something million pounds that it cost. And it sent the council bankrupt. We can't afford to do that as a country, for that to be replicated across the country in the same way. So I'll leave it there. I won't bore you all with me waxing lyrical about anything else. I just want to leave you with those simple facts. A Labour government will cost you more.
Okay, so we're going to move on to our first round of questions. So these questions were taken from the Microsoft form that was on the ticket link. So we've got a number of key themes that we're going to cover. So the first key theme is employment opportunities. So this was the topic which those people who filled in the Microsoft form were mostly interested in. So our first question will be: further education and higher education providers are feeling the squeeze from lack of funding and a diminishing international market. How would you ensure further education and higher education providers get the funding they need to be financially stable and provide the education that is required for employers? So I'm going to go in the opposite direction this time. So Nigel, if you can go first this time. If you won't be... Thank you, Nigel. Yeah, that's fine. So next, if Naz, would you like to repeat the question?
No. So I've worked with Bradford College to get 32 million in because it was inadequate services, and the challenge was that the Tory government were, if you were inadequate, you can't get the funding. So we had to do a lot of work to bring that 32 million in. And in Bradford University, I met them just before the election was announced, and we have an issue, we have real challenges with bringing a lot of income in, especially on international students. Our numbers have dropped. I raised the Prime Minister's question for it. What we as a Labour Party are offering, we are offering education as a whole, not just in higher education, but from children. That's 3,000 new nurseries. That is put investments in. What we've done it before with Sure Start, made sure children get a good start in life. But it's also about when you supporting further education and higher education institutes. It's also making people having those opportunities of where they're going to, what they're going to do. Bradford is a leading university in the country on artificial intelligence. We will create technical colleges of excellence. We will support that investment. As the youngest city in Bradford, Bradford deserves the best.
Thank you, Naz. Next, Mohammed Ali.
Ensuring educators provide value for money requires a multifaceted approach. And that has to address quality, accountability, and of course transparency. And support for both students and educators. Now there's several strategies we can go through, but let's stick with a couple. To address the quality, we could use to assess student satisfaction is of course through surveys, through peer surveys, through peer influence, through peer reports, and external evaluations. Now, to look at how we can implement robust mechanisms for students to provide this is through feedback. Feedback's important because it allows us to feed back into the institution that's providing the service. Another thing is scholarships. Scholarships and bursaries are the ones that increase the availability for young people to get involved, for students to go back into education, to seek that education that they need so they can have the skills needed to go into the big wide world.
Thank you. And Khalid, if you would like me to repeat the question, please do let me know.
That's absolutely fine. I think I understand the question. The question is, the education is for everyone, not just for the few. We believe the education system needs funding, and Green are planning to put 8 billion in, and part of that 8 billion needs to be 2 billion needs to go to teachers. Hey, we have a shortages of teachers, and the supply teaching is not working, and especially in Bradford we have seen those schools under special measures. Being a governor of a few schools, we know the supply teaching is not working, and that is a system where the governments are not.
Changes to visa applications have affected recruitment, leading to multiple further education and higher education providers going through cost-cutting measures to stay afloat. How will you ensure that education providers are given adequate funding to provide high-quality education? And to begin with, if we start with yourself, Naz, this time.
So, you should repeat the whole question because there's two parts to that.
Yes. So tuition fees no longer hold the same value.
Visa perspective, there's two elements to that. One is that the threshold that has been raised for people. If you're a junior doctor in the UK, you're not, even after 6 years of studying, you're not going to be able to meet that threshold which is required for you to get a visa, for your somebody to come over. The Tories have, when it comes to immigration, as the former Shadow Home Office Minister, I know the chaos that they've caused. Now, and I touched on this earlier, when I did meet the university before the election was called, one of the things that we committed to do was to raise this in Parliament, because in Bradford University the numbers have really dropped. We've dropped them by over 45% in terms of international students, and that was the representations we made to the Minister just before the election was called. I will continue to make those representations, because we can't have a half-funded education service for those coming from abroad or those that are here already, especially in places like Bradford West.
Thank you, Naz. On second, if you want to go, Nigel, if you want to go next, please.
Sure. Can you just repeat the question?
No problem.
It's a really long question.
It was difficult to get everything into one thing, but yeah. So tuition fees no longer hold the same value. Changes to visa applications have affected recruitment, leading to multiple further education and higher education providers going through cost cuts
To try and get more funding.
And next, if we can have Khalid. Sorry, Khalid, you're on mute.
Right, I think the education is a core fundamental thing for every child or every adult that is looking to enhance their career by educating, empowering them. We believe that tuition fee in the UK hasn't worked. Instead of that, they have put every student in a debt by 40 to 50,000 by end of their basically when they normally graduate. We believe the international, how do we fund them? We think that especially in Bradford West, we have a University of Bradford which is known for international study. International students are very well attracted to that, and they normally basically get priority because of funding reasons, so that government has to fund this university equally, not on the interest of the university, but on a pressure where they need to generate their funds by appealing to international students and then basically avoiding the home student because they don't qualify for the...
Okay, that's his time. Thank you. And finally, Muhammad Ali.
Why on earth should any one of our students pay a single penny to their education? Why? Why? This is their education that will benefit them. This is their education that will give them the tools needed to have a successful future. Now we all know the Labour candidate's leader pledged to abolish tuition fees. But then of course Master of U-turns turned the other way and scrapped that pledge. So we know not to vote for a party that does not want our young people's educations to succeed. Now if we're going to speak about practicality, let's talk about it. Let's benchmark. Let's benchmark and compare institutions against national and international benchmarks to identify areas for improvement. We should copy the model of Scotland. We should copy the model of Scotland that gives free education to all students. And we should do that. We talk about leading the way. Let's use AI. Let's use all the tools we have and let's lead the way and show that we are a city of young people.
All right, the next question we'll be moving on to our next section. Will be surrounding the cost of living and the NHS. For this one, the first candidate will be Muhammad Ali to go first, and the question is: GP surgeries are oversubscribed and students are waiting for days to get an appointment to see the doctor or are waiting months to be registered at a dentist. What do you propose to do to reduce waiting times for surgeries and consultations? So what do you propose to do to reduce waiting times for surgeries and consultations?
Everybody knows, of course, we need more GPs. We need more nurses, we need healthcare professionals, more workers. But most importantly, let's first retain the workers that we have, the GPs, the doctors that we have, because unfortunately they're all running off to private sectors. Why? Because the government refuses to fund the NHS, and we know, again, Sir Keir Starmer, he wants to open the doors to privatisation. Why? Questions we have to ask. And of course, we've got to also utilise other healthcare professionals, nurse practitioners and physician assistants. They can play a huge role in alleviating time and pressures from the NHS. But the question all goes back to funding. Where's the money going to come from? And the answer is simple. Stop funding foreign unjust wars and fund the NHS.
Thank you, Adrian. And for our second candidate will be Khalid. So let me know if you need me to repeat the question.
Right. I think... can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Right. NHS is a core service that every person is relying on when we are not well, and this is a must, as a necessity. We believe the funding NHS is a must, and we cannot compromise it. So the national government has to put funding seriously. We know the Conservative are looking to privatise, the Labour are echoing or going on the same route where they already privatised a lot of services, outsourced them, and this is where the collaboration of GPs coming into a one base unit. They're oversubscribed by patients, and
15 seconds.
That the appointment system is not working because they're working for private health insurance companies where they're putting value for money, and as a result the patients are suffering, and this is where the government is slowly trying to push patients go and seek chemistry.
And the next candidate will be Nigel.
Just repeat the question again, sorry.
Yes, no problem, that's fine. So GP surgeries are oversubscribed and students are waiting for days to get an appointment to see the doctor or are waiting months to be registered at a dentist. What do you propose to do to reduce waiting times for surgeries and consultations?
So, we're all right. Nothing's on
Just a
fire.
reminder for everyone, please can you put your phones on silent, please?
As long as nobody's on fire or anything, we're all right. Right. I'm really sorry. Can you just repeat the question again? That's completely frozen.
So GP surgeries are oversubscribed and students are waiting for days to get an appointment to see the doctor or are waiting months to be registered at a dentist. What do you propose to do to reduce waiting times for surgeries and consultations?
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. So this isn't an easy problem to solve. This isn't going to be solved overnight, and don't believe anybody that tells you that it can be. What's it take? Something like 7+ years for to train a GP. So this isn't going to be something that you can solve overnight. What are we going to do about it? You've got to increase efficiencies within doctor's surgeries. There are people, and let's face it, there are people that don't need to see a doctor, and they are taking up space. And there are also appointments that go missing, basically. People don't turn up to appointments, and that is costing the NHS millions. So that would be a great first start, is to try and wipe those things out and triage people better before they get to see a doctor, and also wipe out the scourge on the NHS of people missing appointments, because that's just affecting everyone.
Thank you. And finally, Naz?
Let's blame the people, that's the Tory mantra. You know, in Bradford we've got 1,445 people who couldn't get appointments who are now on universal credit. That's a fact. The fact is that under your Tory watch, 14 years of failure, that's where we lost our investment in the NHS, whether that be at hospitals. As a former NHS Commissioner, I know that, I understand that, because the NHS is something that's very close to my heart, and I've been recently not been able to get the same treatment that I've just spent some time in hospital, and I know what the difference is between waiting list even in the last 5 years. So the NHS is not on its knees, it is on its face, and that is because 14 years of austerity, 14 years of failure under the Tory watch, where we've never had strikes from teachers, we've never had strikes from junior doctors, we've never had this kind of appalling services, public services. We have that under the Tories. So on the 4th of July, we either vote for the same chaos or we vote for change, and we get those appointments that are only available by other people who provide them, and we make no apologies for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be moving on to our next question. So the cost of living crisis has hit our students and wider society. We've seen rents go up, mortgage rates through the roof and budgets reduced. What plans do you have in place to support constituents who are struggling with the cost of living? And Khalid, can you go first, please?
Poverty in Bradford is on the rise, and we believe that there's not enough opportunities, there's no job opportunities. We see our children graduating and they can reach out to miles and miles away for a job. However, in Bradford, the manufacturing, the business industry, and the job opportunities have been driven out, and the blame has been put on the central government cuts, and we only had this fear tactics where the Labour will blame the Tories, and the Tory will feel that it's not a Tory government in Bradford, why should we fund them? So what is the alternative? The alternative is that we need a change, and we need a green, and we need basically to make sure that the economy of Bradford needs to be regenerated, and regeneration program in Bradford needs to be fully review, and then alternative has to go for our future generation.
Thank you. And second candidate, Mohammed Ali.
Yes, the cost of living does affect all especially those that are students. That what we can do, practicality, is having a flexibility of a loan repayment plan, because we know that loans are such a burden. If there was some flexibility in that, that could ease the financial pressures. What we also know is that there's an opportunity for part-time employment, and that can be done through universities partnering up with businesses in the inner city centre and supporting them of having a financial income. And we also know that there is no money, as they say, but we also know that billions are being lost. Billions are being lost through billionaires and millionaires not declaring their taxes, and the government is not doing anything about that. And the sad reality as well, this so-called opposition that we have encourages that. And that's why I hate the fact that these two party politicians always go back and forth. He said, she said, she said, he said. They make it about themselves and their parties. And when they do that, it's me and you that lose out. It's me and you that lose out.
That's your time.
Their parties get in the way of the people
That's
that
your
elected
time,
them.
That's your time. And next, can I have Naz, please?
The fastest growing rate of child poverty in the whole of the Yorkshire and Humber. We have women who go into maternity services who are making choices and asking for a food bank bag, whether they have to use a kettle or whether they have to cook. Schools giving school meals out earlier in the day because children aren't getting them free meals. We've got diseases that have come up which haven't been around for 100 years. That is what you have after 14 years of Tory government. I hate to point it out, we haven't been in government for 14 years. When we are in government, we produce the show starts, we produce the NHS, we give free meals, we will continue to give that free meal to every child at the breakfast club. That is what we do. Those are the policies we demand restored every choice on the 4th of July.
Thank you. And finally, Nigel.
Thank you. Where I'm a county councillor, there's two of the most deprived areas in the whole of the county are there, and I'm a regular visitor to the food bank there, and have also given money out of our allowances to the food bank. That's obviously not a long-term option. That is not does not solve the problem nationally. But this is not a problem that is exclusive to Bradford. What the Conservative government has done, we are getting the economy better. The inflation rate is down to 2% now.
15 seconds.
We've got to, the only way that you're going to do this is by not throwing money at the problem, because that will ultimately lead to higher taxes for everyone. You've got to try and grow the economy so that we can get out of this. And that is what the Conservative government is doing.
That's your time. Thank you.
Highest taxes in 70 years.
All right, so the next section of questions will be surrounding business and trade. So again, these were questions that were submitted on the Microsoft forms by those that are attending today. So the first question of this section will be businesses are being hit from all sides. In Bradford West, we are seeing more and more shops being closed and bustling high streets being replaced by empty shops. What support will you provide for businesses to help them through the tough times and allow more local businesses to stay open? And we can start with Muhammad Ali, please.
Go into city centre, what will you see? Absolutely nothing. The roadworks are manic. Nobody wants to go into town anymore, and you have to ask the question why. You see, we've got a failing Labour council, but yet we've got an inadequate Labour MP who refuses to scrutinise her own council. Because you have a Labour council and a Labour MP, you've got a cushy relationship, and there's no animosity there. But that's what needs to be had, the difficult conversations. Now, we know that there is no investment, and we know that it's a ghost town right now, because those that are in Bradford, the inner city businesses, they are parachuting out to neighbouring cities, such as Leeds. Now, the question is, how do you bring them back in? Let's take advantage of what we have. Let's take advantage of us being the youngest city. Let's encourage our young people to focus on entrepreneurship schemes to help them invest and actually go back into city centre. We should have incentives such as loans that are reduced in tax when you open a business in town centre. We've seen this happen before. We've seen this work in Scotland, but they give an incentive to those that opened up a business in the city centre, maybe tax-free for the first 5 years, or something beneficial to our people.
And if we can have Naz go next, please.
Once again, you might want to learn what an MP's job actually is. And an MP's job is to scrutinise the government as a member of the opposition. That's
You're doing a brilliant job at that now.
Sorry. Let me finish. I don't interrupt you. Don't you interrupt me.
Can we just please calm down? There's no need to heckle. And please don't interrupt when the other candidates are speaking.
So let's start again. In Bradford, one of my pledges is to increase that land value by at least 10%. That's what attracts investment. In Bradford city centre, the cribber closures, the road closures are a council responsibility, and they've invested in One City Park in what is going to be the new Odeon. That is going to be opening up. That takes roadworks, that takes investment, that takes disruption to better our streets and better our city centre, unless you don't want to see the city centre be more green for the future. We have Bradford City of Culture 2025. That is something that we have advocated for voting. That will unlock jobs. The train station will unlock jobs. The stability through the National Wealth Fund that Labour will create, that will give those people the chances to get business investment, unlike what the Tories have done. Highest tax rate for 70 years. What the Tories have done to our economy has crashed it, and Rishi Sunak is another version of Liz Truss. He just carried on the chaos. On the 4th of July, you have a choice: change or chaos, more of the same or a new leaf.
And Nigel, can we have you next, please?
Thank you. Listen, much of what the question said is about the local government. They're the ones that control much of that, and that is a Labour council, quite frankly. And it's a Labour council. It's a Labour council that's got hardly any opposition to it. That is, in my view, very dangerous to have very little opposition in whether it be a council or national government. And opposition is really important. As talks about keeping the government under scrutiny. That's clearly, it would appear, not the case in Bradford. It's largely Bradford Council's responsibility to do all of that. The MP can try and cajole ministers, get more money, try and encourage people to come to Bradford, but at the end of the day, that is Bradford Council's responsibility, as they are lacking.
And finally, can we have Khalid, please?
Yeah, I think I will echo very much same. I blame the local Bradford Council for business regeneration, have failed to secure the businesses, and also every city, every country relies on SMEs and micro businesses. Bradford is known for SMEs and micro businesses. However, there is no business networking at all in Bradford. So how does a business connect with each other and business with each other? And major manufacturing incentives are being given by the regeneration program, but they still fail to bring any manufacturing company to Bradford to start the process and create jobs and employment. So we believe the Member of Parliament's job is to lobby and bring more funding in, and they have failed to bring networking events and connect businesses throughout the country, throughout the globe.
Can we not make prejudice remarks, please? Thank you.
Can I also say, whilst he's talking, there are people laughing at his stutter. Can you also...
Yeah, that's what I was referring to, if you can.
It's not very nice and it's quite
Yeah.
childish.
Yeah.
I'm not accusing anybody, I'm just saying I'm not even looking in that direction. I agree.
If we could just politely not make prejudice remarks, not make sniggers, and just maintain the peace, please, and respect the candidates. Thank you. Okay, so our next question. So industries seem to be leaving Bradford. Delays to infrastructure projects and promised projects not reaching fruition is making the city unattractive to large national and international companies. What will you do to turn this around? If you can start with Nigel, please.
Thank you. So, got to try and put Bradford back on the map for the right reasons. Got to bring in more investment. And as the MP, I would look to try and bring in more investment. Infrastructure projects are a problem up and down the country, and quite frankly, it wouldn't matter what government was in control. Infrastructure projects would no doubt go over budget and not be delivered on time. That's the cynical part of me. But what we need is better scrutiny. I come back to that again. We need to scrutinise these companies better that are doing these infrastructure projects. We need to scrutinise where the money's going to. And at the moment, we're just not getting that. We're not getting the scrutiny that it needs. We're not getting the pushes in the right direction to get these things done. Because they get done other places in the country, but here they're not getting done.
15 seconds.
And they're not getting done because of the council, because the council's not pushing the infrastructure projects, because of the MPs, they're not pushing the infrastructure projects. That's what we need. We need more pushing, because sometimes we just need to nudge in the right direction.
Thank you. As well, Khalid, if you can have your next, please.
Bradford is a city where manufacturing was, as I echoed early on, it was one of the busiest cities in Europe. However, for the last 20 years or so, under the Labour government, the Labour Regeneration Business Programme has failed to secure the businesses. Instead of that, Bradford is not seen as a city of business. Bradford is seen as a city of poverty and challenges, and this is where the leadership of Bradford has failed. The problem is in City Council, we scratch each other's backs. We put those people, councillors, on portfolio holders where they don't have no business background. They don't consult with the business consultancies and also network throughout the country and bringing any business opportunities in Bradford. There hasn't been a business expo, a manufacturing industrial expo for many years. The only host in Birmingham, we don't even take a part of it. So this is where we're saying we need an alternative.
Mohammed Ali, if you can have your next, please. Yes, so industries seem to be leaving Bradford. Delays to infrastructure projects and promised projects not reaching fruition is making the city unattractive to large national and international companies. What will you do to turn this around?
The sad reality is that he's right. People are walking away. People, instead of parachuting in, are parachuting out. And we, like I said before, we have to take advantage of what we have. And that's the fact that we're Bradford. We are a city of culture. We are a city of young people. We are the people. We are Bradford. And until we take the necessary steps to take Bradford forward, only then we can make that change. Now, a practical thing is, of course, that lobbying the government, and in return we can offer tax breaks, grants or low interest loans to smaller businesses to open up in city centre. But I've got an idea here, and that's pop-up shops and markets to provide temporary retail spaces to new businesses and local artisans to sell their marketplace. This will test their market presence and just see how good they are doing, see how beneficial they are to the Bradford. The last thing is that it's your choice, it's your decision, and public consultations need to be made, because at the end of the day, it's your money that goes into stuff like this. So make sure you have your say.
First of all, let's just take this back to being a parliamentary hustings, not a local council hustings, because I know both my colleagues here are councillors, not having been members of parliament. The truth is, for Bradford to unlock its development and its potential, we need that rail service. We need that transport infrastructure. Since we've had a West Yorkshire mayor who is a Labour mayor, we have taken buses into public control. That is what our pledges are. That is what gets the economy going. And the businesses, the infrastructure for the businesses comes from a government. That government, there's no shortage of lobbying on my part. I have worked with Bradford Breakthrough. I have taken all the heads of businesses, including university, including the 250 100 companies, including every single senior partner in Bradford, to the House of Commons, not once, not twice, but 3 times, to get that infrastructure, to unlock those jobs, thousands of jobs, billions in our economy, to have that land value increase. That's what it takes. I'm at the heart of government. If we have a Labour government on the 5th of July, that's where you need to vote. Box number 8 on the 4th of July to get your voice in. Get your voice in the Labour government. That's what we need to do.
Thank you very much. We're moving towards our final question of this evening, and then we will go towards our summation speeches by the candidates. Again, if I can just politely request to not make sniggers or snide remarks, and please do respect the attendees and the candidates. So final question of this evening is that we've seen the horrific images coming out of the bloodshed in Palestine and Israel. Will we see peace in our lifetime? And to begin, if I can have an answer, please.
Sugar. 257 days, more than 35,000 killed. It's the 15th of November. I wasn't in the same space as my party. I struggled with my party. People have asked me the question, and which is why I voted for the ceasefire on the 15th of November. Records don't lie. You can't hide. I'm from the people, for the people of Bradford. And when people emailed me, I didn't just respond because of those people, because this is something I've worked on a long time before I went into politics. People in this room know that. For every person who said to me, standing as an independent, people in this room included, if I had £1 for every Bradley, I'd have a lot of money. But independence puts you on the back benches. An independent candidate is on the back benches in opposition, not at the heart of government. We need to keep the issue of Palestine central, not on the back benches, not a side issue. That is what I've advocated for. I will continue to advocate for a recognition of a Palestinian state, as I have done with Labour Friends of Palestine, because I'm on the executive. I will continue to do that. My pledges are clear. Educate yourself if you don't know.
Nigel, can we have you next, please?
Thank you. And for once, I'm going to slightly agree with Naz. She's right in when she says that basically it's 2 choices. And if you go for an independent, they're going to be sat on the back benches potentially and not have a voice in this. So you need to make sure that you get a voice in this. Now, the original question was there going to be peace in our lifetime? Well, I sincerely hope so, and equally I hope that my life's long, but I hope it's not long before we have that peace in Palestine. Let's put on record, what's been done by both sides is abhorrent. And all wars, nobody ever comes out of them
15 seconds.
In a positive light. I would like to see an end as quickly as possible to the fighting and to get down and talk, because talking is what ends these conflicts, not fighting.
That's it. Thank you. Khalid, can we have you next, please?
By Palestine or anywhere, any humanity violations are condemned, and we as a Labour, we as a Green, we believe that the wars are not the solution. We believe they create conflicts and create deaths, and also causes of poverty and also homelessness all around the world. So we believe that this government or any political party's leadership. Leader is the problem, parties are not the problem. No member of parliament or no Labour Party's MPs have spoken against their leader. Party is not the problem. The problem is the leader, where the leader thinks that we can stop the water and supply to those and also play double standard in Ukraine and around the world. We see that in Kashmir where he played. Humanity issue, and leaders lead the world. Unfortunately, Tory and Labour have failed to lead. We need a good leader.
Thank you. Thank you. And finally, Muhammad Ali, please.
We all want peace, but the sad reality is that we will not get peace with the current Conservative government and the poorly opposed leadership of Sir Keir Starmer. It will not happen. They have both aligned themselves with the right-wing government of Netanyahu and the Zionist ideology. We all know this. We are going to speak about this openly because we can as independents. Let me make this clear, that I would rather be an independent on the backbench with a moral compass than be morally bankrupt. Until the Zionist ideology and the apartheid state of Israel is dismantled, the same way the apartheid state of South Africa was dismantled. And I give you the words of Nelson Mandela, that we are not free until the freedom of Palestine. Until Israelis and Palestinians are equal under the law and have their equal rights. Not to mention the right of return, that all of those that were displaced have the absolute right of returning and living those lands that was once theirs. Free Palestine.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, we're going to move towards our summation speeches by the candidates. And we've got 2 minutes. So each candidate will now have 2 minutes each for their summation speech. We'll start with Nigel, if that's okay.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I want to thank all the candidates that came today. It takes a lot of guts to sit down here at the bottom and to answer questions like this in front of an audience. So a massive thank you to all the candidates. The choice is quite simple at this next election. Up and down the country, as I said before, the choice is basically Conservatives versus Labour. And which do you want? And all we've heard from Labour so far, basically, is that they want change. But they can't really tell you what that change is. They just want some change. In fact, if you see all their billboards, it just says change on it, which is great. What does it mean? They can't really tell you.
Money.
Who knows? We don't know. So, do you really want to risk that? Do you really want to risk the unknown with Labour? Do you really want to go and put the NHS in the hands of people who have almost destroyed it in Wales? Do you want to put your trust in people that have wrapped up bills of £50+ million in Nottingham on an energy company? Is that who you want to put your trust in? Or do you want to put your trust in Conservatives? I realise how that might sound. But, listen, at least we've got a plan. We've got a plan of how to move it forward. And the plan's already working. Inflation's down to 2%. We're already cutting national insurance. It's already had an effect in people's pockets, and that's going to go further in the next
15
parliament.
seconds.
So, do you want to risk it against? You want to gamble on Labour and chuck all your money at Labour and hope for the best and hope that they don't put your taxes up, or do you want to stick with the same? Because that's your basic question.
It's the time
Which
now.
do you want?
Khalid, can we have you next, please? So your 2 minute summation speech.
Right. We have heard a lot of stuff on the questions, and I think that answers a lot of questions that we can say, where are we when it comes to Bradford? We believe the Bradford need alternative, and that alternative has to come through change of leadership, change of political representation. Sorry, I have a stammer, forgive me for that. Now, we need to stop doing personal politics. We know that when we go out door knocking, we know that we get here on the doorsteps, that we know we don't like the politician. However, I am going to vote for Labour. I am going to vote because he or she is basically being supported by so-and-so, and voters are influenced. We need to stop this and wake up ourselves and vote wisely, and vote who deserves your vote, who deserves to be your voice in Member of Parliament. Hold these political parties to account and make sure that challenge them. We believe the Green Party has played a massive role on challenging the government, especially on a ceasefire where they demanded. It was the only political party still believe the ICC, the rulings needs to be held, and make sure that Netanyahu has to be basically arrested and done for war crime. Similarly, ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair needs to be done for war crime. John Major.
15 seconds.
To stop funding wars and then levying those taxes onto the taxpayers. We cannot afford to pay that and then bring our children into questions where we believe that our children are going to pay the consequences by not having education.
That's your time, Khalid. Muhammad Ali, can we have you next, please?
I want to first start by saying, Naz, if I said anything to offend you, please do forgive me. At the end of the day, you are an elder to me, so are you, sir, as well. Over the hustings, we have heard from both parties, or all four parties, shall I say, and they've all expressed how they feel, and they have all expressed how they want to make change. I stand here today before you as a young man embedded in the community. Embedded in the community. I'm from Annigham, a place that I call home, and it's a place where I've been brought up, raised, educated. Now, moving forward, we know the issues at hand, and we always talk about them. But the question goes to you, in what do you want? Because I know you want a strong independent that can stand there in the chambers and say how it is. I know that you want a strong independent that's not tied by party whips or policies. Unfortunately, there was another independent who put his name forward. Akhil Hussain. Akhil Hussain, where are you? Where are you? You couldn't even come to a public hustings and face the public. You are a fraud and an imposter, and you're doing the work of Keir Starmer by dividing. Now they keep talking about the fact that we want a Labour government, we want a Labour government, we've had Conservatives here for so many years, we want a Labour government. Hang on a minute. We saw a Labour government. Still, from that Labour government, Iraqis are suffering, and the bloodshed and the war that happened in 2003, we have not forgotten. We have not forgotten. The choice is yours. Yes, I am young, but what's an advantage? That you have a young man that is from the community that can say it how it is. At the age of 18, I launched my first ever boxing academy. At the age of 18, again, I then launched a mental health provision. At the age of 19, I stood the second time. At the age of 20, we received the highest votes ever. Briefly, I'm trying to tell you that at this young age, we have done so much together. Because whenever I win, it's not I that wins. It's we as people of Bradford.
I'm glad it's not a competition about who's from Bradford, because I've got 30 years on you, born in this constituency, raised in this constituency, living in this constituency, so that's not the competition. If it's a competition of understanding where it's from the community, I've been homeless, I've experienced, you have more of an advantage over me, you actually have an education, I didn't, I left school at 12, I had a post-marriage at 15, I was campaigning for my mother to be released from prison. That's not the competition here. The competition is whether you are better off after 14 years of a Tory government. That's the question for the ballot box on the 4th of July. Whether you want change, whether you want an increase in your mortgage, whether you want somebody to be at the heart of government advocating for the Palestinian cause to get the recognition that it needs, because it needs a political solution, not to undo the 9 years of work that I have done, not to have a backbench voice, for somebody to be on the backbenches and talking about Palestine, and yet it's not in the mainstream government. That's not where it's going to be. Don't sideline the issue of Palestine. Do not dilute the issue of Palestine from the mainstream political parties. People can have their slogans, and I admire you as a young person. You have my full support going forward in terms of a politician. I want more people in Bradford to step up into politics. It's an absolute brilliant thing to see. But what we cannot do is dilute at the expense of the Palestinian people. And I would rather lose with a strong hand for the Palestinian people inside government rather than a weaker hand for the people of Palestine. That's the choice for the issue of Palestine. That is what I've done for the last 9 years. That is what I will continue to do. And I will advocate for those people that I have advocated for the 9 years. You cannot tell me that I haven't advocated. Every person, now you're a brilliant MP and a brilliant MP, we've got an issue with the party. I struggled with that party. Condemnation in the Oxford Dictionary is to disagree. I disagreed. I resigned my whip. Nobody holds me. Nobody holds me.
Thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you to the candidates for giving their time today. I wish you all the best, and that concludes today's event. Thank you.